What's up, everyone? Welcome to an existential experience with Jose, the podcast where we like to take life's punches, reflect on them a little bit, maybe overthink them a lot, and somehow walk away a stronger version of ourselves. I'm your host, Jose, born and raised in a family that has survived, rebuilt, reinvented, and honestly taught me more about resilience than any textbook ever could. And today's episode is all about something we all go through, whether we admit it or not, growth after pain, and what we call post-traumatic growth. And look, post-traumatic growth isn't just getting over something. For me, post-traumatic growth is finding meaning after pain. Almost like how Newton didn't really think about gravity until an apple smacked him on the head. Sometimes life hits us like that, and suddenly things make sense that didn't before. Or, to quote Kanye and Daft Punk, PTG is becoming harder, better, faster, stronger because of what you survived. And that's the energy we're tapping into today. So, what is PTG? When I think of PTG, I think about moments where life forces you to choose, fall apart, or learn something from the pieces. For me, PTG happens when pain cracks you open and you decide what grows from there. When you start asking yourself, why me? And start saying, why now? Or what now? Sorry. When your adversity becomes the blueprint for how you move forward. And I say that because I've lived it. My family's lived it. And the model we're using today, Park's meaning making model, is honestly the closest thing I've ever seen to what I naturally do in my head. Ask questions, reflect, try to make sense of things, repeat. So let's break it down. The model, PT Park's meaning making framework. So here's the simple version because I like keeping things quick and easy. Park's model says we have two types of meaning. Global meaning, your beliefs, values, worldviews, goals, basically your operating system, like any computer. With a specific event where we get into the situational meaning, a specific event means when it hits you, the moment life says plot twist. So that's one of the two different things we'll talk about. Um, when those two meanings clash, you feel pain. And in this pain, we'll call that the discrepancy. So what do humans do? Well, humans like to make meaning out of meaningless things, so we will try to repair the mismatch. And on the other side of all of this reflection, co coping, journaling, praying, crying, talking, whatever your process is, there's something part calls meaning made. That's the growth part. That's the part where we aren't the same person we were anymore. That's the learning, and that's post-traumatic growth. Alrighty, let me show you how this actually played out for me. Um, so I grew up believing hard work always pays off, family's everything. I was usually really smart and school usually came naturally to me. I thought I would live single and carefree until I was 28. Um, Family taught me that men keep their word and never give up. Pain is temporary, responsibility is forever. And there's some things bigger out there, maybe not God the way that I was taught, but honestly, I'm agnostic, so I still believe there's still something, a higher calling out there. That's what I would kind of label as my global meaning from what we look at. Situational meanings that hit different for me. And this is basically when life said, oh, that's what you think? I, for sure. A few moments like this would have been me losing my grandfather, who was basically like the glue to my family. He raised me like a father. When he passed, the family basically split down the middle. Cousins I used to speak to every weekend and hang out with suddenly don't speak to anymore. So my belief that family was everything clashed with family can fall apart. Blood is thicker than water, but not all the time, as it will dilute, apparently. That was a meaning of discrepancy for me. It also forced me to understand mortality in high school because I had never dealt with death before, which, funnily enough, graduated from high school straight into an existential crisis. Um, Another thing was watching my mother transform. My mother had me at 17. She was a troublemaker. The sibling nobody really expected anything from, ADHD, major depression, insecurity. She was judged very harshly by my family. More the extended part, not necessarily her siblings and her parents. But I watched her grind through the setback after setback. She got, she went through multiple jobs, business work. Um, but she made it all because she said, I'm responsible for you now. And that challenged my belief that identity is fixed. Sometimes people put labels on you, but she taught me people can rewrite their entire story. Football and discipline. I was undisciplined in middle school. Mom will confirm this. She put me in football. My stepdad taught me delayed gratification and routine because I just didn't have any. Always just wanted to get my own way. That reframed my belief about hard work as it's not instant rewards. It's a long-term game. Struggling in college, I grew up hearing you're smart, school is easy for you, but then I got older and realized, damn, school is not as easy as I thought it would be. Another one of those discrepancies. Um, Falling in love pretty early. I always thought I'd be single until I was 28. That's kind of what my mom put in my head. That's what I had put in my own head. But I'm currently in a very long-term relationship, thinking about the future, possibly getting married. So going into like a more old school view than what we would say nowadays. So next we'll get into my own personalization. So like the family culture support part of it. Um, So let's give you some context because Park's model kind of emphasizes the meaning of foundation we inherit. So my family story is straight resilience. So my grandfather, Mexican immigrant, worked the fields, became a self-made handyman. He helped my family get the green cards really early, surprisingly enough. So sadly, um, it was hard for him, was what he explained to us, but he didn't want to leave his family in Mexico for too long. So he tried to make that something that he worked on pretty hard. Not rich in money, but from what I was told, 1,000 people showed up to his funeral. That taught me that hard work doesn't get you financially wealthy, but it can make you spiritually wealthy. Sometimes wealth comes in different forms. My grandmother also worked in the fields and hotels. She survived generational trauma. Someone that had to deal with thinking that she had a nice, happy family. Then her father decides to, do something and take the life of himself and his mother and my grandma's mother. And then she basically felt like she had to raise her own siblings and figure that whole family out, but with the help of a sibling. Um, my mother had ADHD and depression. She was judged harshly growing up. She had me at 17, so was always looked at as the black sheep of the family. Didn't really figure people were gonna didn't she think she was going to do much. She ended up being licensed, responsible, and respected. She's my main anchor, and she gave me my core lesson: learn from others' mistakes before you have to learn the hard way too. So my emotional support, I would say my mom, my grandfather, who's no longer with us, my girlfriend, my stepfather, and a lot of my family, I would say. These are all people that I would say definitely showed up for me whenever I needed it. And how this fits into the park model. Uh, My global meaning was shaped by the immigrant hustle, generational trauma, reinvention, responsibility, and the idea of community over self, which kind of clashes with our more American ideal of just personal identity and making yourself happy over others most of the time. And that's why meaning making rooted like so deeply with me because I inherited both struggle and strength from this. How I grew after the pain. So my growth after adversity, Park says that after you process the discrepancy, you reach meaning made, the transformation, basically. So, in a sense, here's mine. I learned that hard work wasn't just about the money. My grandfather didn't die rich, but he died loved. That forced me to redefine success. So my meaning made went from making an impact on people's lives in some ways can be a lot better than the income made. As sometimes you might not have the money, but whenever you need help, whenever you need something, you need someone, because you were such a pillar in the community, you're going to be helped as well. I developed real self-advocacy. Um, I learned I can handle challenges. I learned how to adapt, that I can build a better life than what I had inherited, and not to crumble when things get hard. Football, college, relationship, and loss, all of that really strengthened my belief that I can get up every time I'm knocked down. Like Rocky kind of says, we'll get into that in a second. Let's see here. When it comes to um when it comes to resilience, it wasn't just about not just bouncing back, but bouncing forward. So, uh, you can go two steps forward and two steps back, and that's that idea that you can just bouncing back, but bouncing forward. Pain doesn't send me backward anymore. Pushes me into responsibility, purpose, and intention. Because of this intention, we get into finding new purpose. My family happiness is what matters to me. Breaking generational cycles is what matters. Being a good future father, being emotionally intelligent, and being reliable, man of my word is what really matters to me. And I became more human, not less, with talking through grief, becoming more empathetic and closer with my feelings, as my grandpa was a very, in a sense, machismo kind of man, and I was kind of just taught to feel my emotions and stuff like that. So to bring it all home, Park's meaning model helped me understand the growth didn't happen after the trauma. It happened through the struggle of making sense of it. It helped me see what I believed, what was challenged, how I reflected, and who I became on the other side. And if you're listening to this, just know you're allowed to outgrow the person you were before the pain. You're allowed to redefine your story. And like Rocky said, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And like I say, you can't pour from an empty cup, but you can always find a way to refill it. Thanks for listening to an existential experience with Jose. If this resonates, stick around. This is only episode one, sorry, episode three of our series. Have a good one.